So, I'm listening to Asmongold's new video about Grok's new avatar feature when out of nowhere I hear a familiar sounding name. Andy Cortez. And I thought to myself, Andy Cortez from Kinda Funny?
Obviously, this Andy guy.
What's he have to say about the new Grok avatars?
This is great news, to be honest. The dudes that are using this, approximately 100% of Asmongold's fan base, are the ones that we don't want reproducing.
Oh, yeah. Anthony Cortez from Kinda Funny. So let's talk about what myself and Asmongold agree on as one of his fans, Kinda Funny, and my journey as a former fan of theirs, and why I think Kinda Funny is so past the point of resuscitation. To quote Will and Grace, as I'm sure none of us expected, myself included, Kinda Funny is so past its expiration date that if they were milk, the milk would be so bad it would be good cheese by this point.
What are you doing?
Just trying to help out. By the way, you have milk in the refrigerator that's so bad it's now good cheese.
And they are good cheese for us rat kings to feast on. Since Asmongold and myself, as one of his fans, are such dog shit people that we do not deserve to procreate, I thought it would be good to talk about what myself and Asmongold agree on. And that's the fact that we don't have to agree on everything. What? I know. Crazy concept for someone stuck in an echo chamber right between the corporate shills that call themselves video game journalists and Triple H.
Time to play the game.
No, not that Triple H. I mean the homeless hellhole, or to be more geographically accurate, the homeless hell hill that is San Francisco. You see, I don't agree with Asmongold on everything. In fact, Asmongold says stuff all the time I don't agree with. I personally think Souls-like games are for sadomasochists. I think the market is essentially saturated, and to me, it's the new bandwagon genre. I don't necessarily agree with how Asmon likes to talk about stooping just as low as others. I believe a man has to have a code for himself, and that code should focus on who you want to be, despite how other individuals may play into that equation. Now, to be fair to Asmon here, he loves to say that if people give you shit, give it to them 10 times, because given the opportunity, they would do the same to you. He's probably right. But from my own personal observations, Asmon's actual actions are much more kind, restrained, and some might even say charitable. I would point to how long he tried to play nice with Hassan, despite Hassan getting personal almost from the jump. You see, Asmon likes to say his moral compass doesn't necessarily point north. I would say it does, Asmon. I mean, he's smart enough to know that heading north isn't always smart direction, but from what I've seen, it's the road he most often travels. But it's okay that we disagree and have discourse about a wide range of topics. Next, let's talk about Kinda Funny. But you can't talk about Kinda Funny without talking about IGN. I had originally found Greg Miller through a series of SimCity Let's Plays on IGN. It was my introduction to not only Greg, but IGN in general. And from there, I went to be a usual listener to the PlayStation podcast, Podcast Beyond, that IGN had at the time, featuring both Greg Miller and Colin Moriarty. Colin and Greg, who were roommates at the time, truly had some chemistry. They literally acted like brothers to a certain degree. And despite not necessarily even being a PlayStation fan myself, I really grew to enjoy the show, more than anything based off their chemistry. So naturally, when Greg and Colin teamed up with two of their more behind-the-scenes colleagues at IGN, Nick Scarpino and Tim Geddes to form the Game Over Greggy Show, a show where each of the four hosts would bring a topic for the four hosts to discuss. A simple concept, but as long as the topics were good, the concept's good. And wow, the topics were great stuff like sexy Disney princesses. Oh, well, that's not a good. Clean buttholes. Oh, God, what? Visible panty lines. Well, at least that one you could have had like a Cosmo article or something. Why I would have sex with a goat. Oh, God, it just gets worse. Ugh. Now, to be fair on that last one, that title was a bit of clickbait. The topic actually proposed was a would you rather scenario.
Tim, the pure one, would you like to start us off tonight?
I got a good one. Got a good one for tonight. Okay, guys. Would you rather have sex with a goat and no one know you did it, or not have sex with a goat, but everyone thinks you did it?
But I don't think admitting you care more about what other people think to the point that you would rather have sex with a goat than people think you had sex with a goat is the win you guys think it is.
For winning the Spirit Award, Eric will receive this gift certificate to Shakey's for $50. Come on up, Eric.
I kept telling Shakey's, but...
Now, from the Game Over Greggy show came the nucleus that would spawn Kinda Funny on January 5th of 2015. And everything was actually going really well. That was until International Women's Day in 2017, where Colin Moriarty made this tweet. I know, guys. Try to stay calm. I hear you. I'm as angry as all of you. Wait. You're telling me no one was actually that angry for real? Most people get a joke? Now, there was a fair amount of so-called video games journalists that tried to fan the flames as best they could, but no one really cared. Except, apparently, the other members of Kinda Funny. Yeah, that's right. The guys that had worked with him for years, including a man he thought to be his best friend and longtime roommate, stabbed him in the back over the most nothing burger tweet of all time. Now, I wish that I could say that my journey with Kinda Funny ended that day, along with Colin's. But to be honest, I wasn't that big a fan of Colin to begin with. Nothing against the guy, especially now. He just wasn't the draw for me to begin with. For me, Greg Miller, starting with SimCity, to him being the reason I'm a Persona fan today, to his love for pro wrestling and Superman, he was the team member I originally connected with. But as time went on, Tim, Greg,
because I want to know if the American dream is dead. I want to know if I am so wrong that this country I was raised to believe in fought for the good things and took care of each other is this far fucking gone. Please, if you've ever cared about anything I've fucking said and you're on the bench and don't want to do it or are undecided, please vote for Joe Biden.
and like we've seen from various new members, such as Anthony Cortez, have went out of their way to let people know there is no room for disagreements amongst topics we find important. And if you do dare to disagree with us about an ever-widening yet increasingly trivial range of topics, you are a bad person. And we don't want you in our audience. And let me tell you, the audience, myself included, we eventually listened. Now, from there, how do we get to Asmongold? Well, I think one way to surmise would be to talk about the second most important thing I think that Asmon and myself agree upon. The game companies and media companies as a whole are trying to shove shit down our throats and tell us it's chocolate. That affirmation of a feeling that had been growing within me for years gave me the confidence to be more myself than I have been in years, and to start making more videos again. Although, I have to be honest, I hadn't planned to be nearly as negative as what this, in my first video back, Hassan said, "What about Superman?" About the lunacy of Hassan Piker comparing himself to Superman might lead you to believe. Originally, I wanted to make a video review for the new Superman movie, and a video game essay about how I went from the guy that would internally scoff at indie games to believing indie games are our only hope for the future of the video game industry. After hits like Balatro, Schedule 1, and my personal favorite game since Persona 5, Expedition 33. A conclusion I would have never come to had I continued to listen to Kinda Funny. Because, you see, Kinda Funny was the reason I used to roll my eyes at indie games. Now, it's not that they didn't recommend indie games. It's the fact that they only talked about what I would call the most artsy-fartsy, I don't actually enjoy this, I just enjoy the idea that people think I enjoy this, indie games. You know, the ones with little to no gameplay mechanics, a story written from the most obtuse perspective possible, and a control scheme you always have to go and find somewhere on the internet separate of the game itself. I had begun to think that indie games were a lot like older indie films.
Oh, nah, dude, independent films are those black and white hippie movies. They're always about gay cowboys eating pudding.
Now, to quote Asmongold one final time in this video, at least whether it be about games themselves or the people reviewing them, woke is not the disease. It is a symptom of the disease. The disease is bad video games, or in the case of reviewers, bad taste. And while Kinda Funny didn't fall off a cliff overnight, they did continuously divide and drive away what should be their core audience. Gamers. Which brings us to today. Kinda Funny is to the point where I guarantee this video, this one you're watching right now, will do better than Kinda Funny's 30-day average. That's right, I've got 50 subs, currently 63 views on my first video back in 4 years. And I, a nobody who worked in a combination of restaurants and technical jobs, is calling his shot and saying what I've written of this script for this video so far and the thumbnail idea I have in mind make me confident that even I will surpass Kinda Funny's average views at this point. And for them, at this point, what's left to do other than put the fries in the bag like I used to? And who knows, maybe I'll be the new Kinda Funny.
Nobody watches you. Nobody cares about you. Nobody gives a shit about you. And the only reason why you're talking about me is because you're hoping that maybe, just maybe, you might be able to capitalize on more people that hate me, and that would be better than finding more people that like you.